Taurus, there could be a lot of surprises coming at you this week. This is your week ahead astrology forecast from Astrology Motivation by Born Without Boundaries. Welcome, Taurus. This is a video where we're going to discuss all the major planetary aspects and transits and how they impact your natal sun in relationship to the aspects they are forming to your natal sun for the week of April 27th to May 3rd. I write it all down here so that I can remember it. So Taurus, how do you know where your natal sun is? A lot of you already do because you already have your birth chart. If you don't have your birth chart, you don't need it. I will give you estimated dates in Taurus season that they correlate to, but that's not really exact and that could be a little bit off. So the best way is to go get your natal chart. You can get it for free online. Just search free natal chart, and what you'll need is your birth date, which you already have, your birth time and your birthplace, all of which are located on your birth certificate, and it's really easy, and they'll generate a free chart, and then you'll know exactly what degree in Taurus your sun sits on. And you're like, what degree? What do you mean? Well, the zodiac is a wheel, and it makes a 360 degree angle, a full circle. And so there's 360 degrees on the zodiac wheel, and every zodiac sign, because there's 12 zodiac signs, occupy 30 degrees of that zodiac wheel. So every zodiac sign has 30 degrees, and your natal sun, if you were born in Taurus season, sits on one of those degrees. It sits on 0 to 29 degrees Taurus. So if your natal sun sits between 0 and 9 degrees Taurus, you are in the first decan, or group of 10 degrees of Taurus. And so I'm going to refer to you guys as Taurus 1. If you have a natal sun between 10 and 19 degrees Taurus, you're going to be Taurus 2. And if your natal sun falls between 20 and 29 degrees Taurus, you are Taurus 3. Guys, we're going to start really broad and cover the aspects. There are no major transits that are happening this week, but there are a few screwy aspects that we absolutely do have to go over for this week. And then we're going to dig down into the things that really Taurus should be focused on, or should be focused on. And then we're going to get into the decans, and I'll tell you exactly how all this energy is impacting your natal suns. Okay, so, and there's a lot of transiting between decans. So even though the planets may not be transiting between zodiac signs and changing zodiac signs, they're transiting between the decans. So definitely listen to the whole video, because one could run into the other this week. So the big aspects that are happening this week are Jupiter square Pluto, most definitely. It's a big one. It's going to be there for a week, into next week, a couple of weeks, just because of where Jupiter is in Aries. So Jupiter square Pluto intensifies everything. There is just an intensity there that you can't deny. It's basically what I call the roto-rooter of astrology. It's going to get through anything. It's going to expand and push and expand to the point of popping. And it will destroy. It has a ruthlessness about it, but it also has a relentlessness about it. And because it's a square, you could see it one of two ways. You could see this challenge as a way to grow and to strengthen yourself, or you could see the challenge as a way to be destructive, and it really just depends on how much you want to learn from it. So there will be a certain group of you that it's impacting directly, but I think all of people will feel the intensity and the volatility in the air this week. Just let's get it done, push through, make things pass, unclog this drain is exactly what I'm thinking of it as. We also have Venus square Neptune. So Venus square Neptune is easily deceived. It's easily distracted. It is kind of lost in its own dreamland, rose-colored glasses to the point of not only naivete, but ignorance. So there is a sentiment here of Venus square Neptune. You will buy tonic water and think it is the cure for cancer. That's the kind of anybody could sell you anything kind of energy. Thinking things are too good even when they're not, believing in dreams and getting lost in them. all of those things could happen when Venus is square Neptune, with Jupiter square Pluto. This could be a very volatile, and I think ultimately it's not just a volatile week, it's a cathartic week. Things have to pop off that have to be addressed. And if the universe has to trick us by Venus square Neptune, then it will, but it's going to make us confront this shit, and it's going to make us push through. That's kind of how this energy is acting. Mercury is still in retrograde, so definitely expect those exes to be texting or old shit to be coming up. And with Venus square Neptune, you might be more inclined to forgive and rose-colored glass the whole thing, when really, actually, I think it's not when really. I think it's to make everything go away, to make everything finally be better. And if there wasn't that sort of self-deception, you might not even listen to it or talk to these people, right? There is the sense of the confrontation has to happen. This is just that energy, even if you're not dealing with an ex, this like confronting the stuff that was uncomfortable from the past. We are in Mercury retrograde, and that's the best way to use it. So just be prepared for that overall energy this week. Let's talk about Taurus stuff. Let's talk about Venus and what Venus is doing. We already know that Venus is square to Neptune. She is also sextile Chiron and sextile Jupiter. She's sextile Chiron through Sunday, April 30th, and then she starts a sextile to Jupiter on May 1st. So ultimately, there is a sense of transformation and catharsis, of healing from the pain and transforming from the pain, and then expanding and growing and actually seeing opportunity on the other side of that. That's why I have more of an optimistic way of looking at these squares that are also going on this week. It is definitely something that you should always note where Venus is. Venus moves pretty quickly. Venus is your ruling dignitary, and where she is, the zodiac sign she's in, will impact what you're focused on. Or what your mindset is. Venus in Gemini tends to be very focused on education, very focused on learning and communication. So, and friendship as well. So Venus is moving between 19 and 26 degrees Gemini this week. So she is definitely in the third decan of Gemini. For those of you in the third decan of Taurus, this could make you blindsided a little bit like surprised by what Venus ends up doing or how she ends up impacting you or affecting you. She could very well be working through your friends right now. You could also be a little bit blindsided by Jupiter, because Jupiter is kind of 30 degrees away from you in the other direction in Aries. And so this expansion and growth may come to you in an unexpected way. Since Jupiter is in Aries, it could be a very physical way, or something through your body or through an experience, a physical experience. But that's not guaranteed. It could also just be a new experience, or suddenly you have energy for something that you never thought you'd have energy for. This is Taurus 3. Let's move into the decans. So let's go back to Taurus 1. Taurus 1, long-term transits are long-term aspects. Your natal sun is conjunct the North Node, which is at 4 degrees Taurus, which means your natal sun is in opposition to the South Node. This is kind of a transitional time in your life then, kind of trying to figure out who you want to be and what your future is going to look like. By Thursday, May 1st, your natal suns are going to conjunct the current sun. The current sun will be at 11 degrees Taurus on 5/1 and will make a perfect conjunction with Mercury. But this is through. So you guys are through May 1st. So April 27th through April 30th. By May 1st, Taurus will have the sun moves into the second decan. It doesn't mean, especially those of you born at the end of the second decan, so that's sort of Tauruses who are born at the end of April, very, very end, last couple of days of April, could still basically be feeling this impact and this conjunction with the sun. When your natal sun conjuncts the current sun, there's a lot of confidence and courage and self actualization and realization. And especially with that North Node there, you could have these aha moments of, now I want to know what I want to do with myself, what's important to me, and which direction I want to head in. There's a lot of clarity with personal purpose this week for you guys. And then you also have long term, because you've been that your natal suns have been square to Pluto for a while. This square to Pluto is interesting. It's interesting this week because Jupiter has come into the mix. It's interesting this week because Jupiter is exacerbating and exaggerating everything. So when Pluto is square your natal sun, you are kind of formidable and you have a relentlessness about you. But with Jupiter, it is going to be maximized, and it doesn't always mean good luck here. It could mean that people just feel like you're overbearing, and it could even mean that you're willing to push too hard and too far and really definitely be overbearing or even manipulative in some ways. So watch this energy for the next week and a half. It could absolutely work in your favor, but it could also work against you too. You have to really maintain a strong moral fiber when you have this much powerful energy that you have access to. Just an FYI. Use it for good, not for evil. And like I said, especially if you are at the cusp, your natal suns are conjunct to Jupiter right now too. So it's a very powerful week that you could get a lot done with, and you could be extremely productive and not take no for an answer. Stick to your morals and ethics, and that will be just fine. In fact, it will be a blessing, and major breakthroughs could happen for you this week. Conversely, if you don't control yourself and you allow yourself to sort of renege on your own sense of morality, then you could earn yourself permanent termination, permanent exile, permanent endings. Just an FYI. Just a powerful energy that you need to be aware of, Taurus. Taurus 2s, your natal suns are conjunct Mercury retrograde, and by the 1st of May, conjunct the sun. On the 5th of May, there's a conjunction between Mercury and the sun, perfect conjunction at 11 degrees Taurus. So there is definitely 11 is associated often with enlightenment and realization, awakening. Mercury retrograde conjunct the sun at 11 degrees. Yeah, there's a big time awakening, especially for you guys on this date. Pay attention to it. There is actualization, there is awakening, realization, and that Mercury retrograde is bringing it all into your attention. Whatever fails, whatever breaks, or whatever information comes out, this is a huge aha moment, perhaps for all of us, but because it's conjunct your sun, definitely for you and your personal life trajectory. There's a trine to the moon on the 30th on Sunday, which could offer you a great deal of peace and harmony inside of yourself, especially before this day of awakening. So there is a sense of kind of really almost being celestial guided for those 2 days between the 30th and the 1st. Something becomes clear to you. Something becomes clear to you, especially when you come into harmony with what you have to release or let go with that moon, sort of emotionally. And then all week long, your natal suns are sextile to Mars, which also speaks to being able to get things done and being able to have stamina and energy to move forward and find those physical aspects of yourself that you would just have confidence and courage to execute. There's a lot of opportunity here because of your energy level. So this is could be a game-changing, very progress-oriented week for you. And I think it's very beautiful. And then we have Taurus 3s. So Taurus 3s, your natal suns have a lot of long-term aspects that we go over every week. Sextile to Neptune, trine to Pluto, and square to Saturn, especially if you are at the cusp between Taurus and Gemini. This is going to impact you. You are also the guys who are going to kind of be blindsided or surprised by the expansion that Jupiter brings this week and the love or value changes or dynamics that happen with Venus this week. So personal relationships, surprise interludes definitely could come up. Also being surprised by the growth that comes from it. Major blindside or surprises, and I doubt you won't be surprised, actually. But these long-term transits with the sextile to Neptune, your natal sun sextile Neptune is huge creativity. Just a time where you're thinking so far outside the box, there is no box. This is create. It is the best time to use this energy. Trine to Pluto just means there's harmony with change and dynamic. This is your metamorphosis time. You're going to experience catharsis that help you let grow and expand and change. And that sextile to Neptune can make it very exciting and dynamic. And then we have that square to Saturn, which means you are going to be clashing with everything that is normal and traditional and maybe even legal, or at least by the rules, because you're going to very, very much be seeing something that doesn't work about them, or you're just going to be clashing with authority figures that don't want to listen, basically clashing with stubborn mindsets that don't want to change. And so that actually Saturn will clear up before the Neptune and Pluto. Those are really long term. By next year, Saturn will definitely clear up for you guys. So maybe you just have to wear somebody down a little bit, is what I'm saying. Just weather the storm when it comes to butting your heads, because Saturn is stubborn. It doesn't change easily, and it probably just can't see what you can see now that everything is so dynamic for you. So have patience, and basically that square by the end of the year will have, I think, helped to teach you how to be stronger and to shore up what you believe in and which direction you're heading in, especially for your career. But definitely get ready to be surprised by Venus and Jupiter, by expansion and value this week. Let me know in the comments below, and definitely subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed already, and come on over and watch the Taurus week ahead tarot card reading over on Born Without Boundaries Tarot. I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye, Taurus.